Welcome to the BitGeek Podcast. I'm your host, Ron Avis, and sitting with me on the couch to my left is my co-host, the Prince of Pixels,
Nick Wright.
And returning with us this week is our special guest, the chairman of the Chinese knockoff,
Martin Reimer.
And today is part 2 of ranking the top 10 GameCube games. All right, Mr. Chairman, it's become tradition on the show, hence the nickname, the chairman of the Chinese knockoff, that you bring to us, a la King of the Cartoons and Pee-wee's Playhouse, some sort of toy that you've found on Amazon or wherever it is that you get these things.
Yeah.
But wait, you say a Chinese knockoff, but it looks like a NES Classic edition.
It sure as hell does.
Sure, yeah.
And if you look at the front of this thing, it very much looks like...
It's
and
very
you're going to
beat-up
have to
looking.
take some pictures on your camera and send them to me so people can get the full effect on this thing. But yeah, this is not the NES Classic that just got re-released. This is the Chinese knockoff. It looks, everything about this looks just like the box.
Complete with Chip and Dale.
Yeah, until you get to the back of this thing, and then you start seeing the Chinese knockoffness really pop. And you handed it to me.
It does include 30 games, but one of them happens to be Snow Brothers.
Yeah, Snow Brothers.
Such classics as Circus Charlie.
Yeah. I think I missed that one.
The thing that kills me about this presentation is they went to all this trouble, and they even have little inserts on the inside that are like photocopies of rewards for Nintendo, like My Points, Nintendo My Points.
Didn't they kill that off like 4 or 5 years ago? I don't
It's
know.
been a couple years, yeah.
Yeah.
They went to all the
It came
trouble.
with this thing.
What the hell?
Yeah,
but
My Nintendo.
But yeah, my point is they went to all the trouble to be authentic. But then if you look at and we'll have pictures so you can see and appreciate this. They have this half-assed lazy stretch job where the proportions of they have the Mega Man 2. Okay, that looks good. There's the Mario 3 box. That looks normal. But then they got to match the height of those two graphics.
Yeah.
They just stretched out Chip and Dales.
And every game that's not included is like so bad.
Oh, it's just terrible. It's like, why did they went to all this trouble and then they couldn't take an extra couple seconds?
There's
to
even
get
the actual poster. They replicated the poster.
It's the most bizarre. I love China. They kill me every single time.
They did a good job with the poster.
Yeah. I can't. Check out the Facebook. Whenever we get these pictures that Martin's going to send us, so I can put it in the video. We'll have to also post on the Facebook. It's comical, man.
I'm kind of curious now. I need to look at my box. Like, what
was in its place?
Yeah, what's in its place?
It had to be like something that's this size, I guess. And they had a template, I suppose, but they wanted to get both those games in there, so they just shoved them in anyway.
Because one game right there.
A lot of the stuff, like the shell creepers, like from Mario Brothers.
From Mario Brothers,
they're there.
Are they?
I remember seeing them.
I don't remember that. Okay.
And so I think pretty much the format is identical.
Yes,
but they've replaced a few things.
They just squeezed in what they wanted to squeeze in. Like this was, I guess this could have been like this right here.
Yeah,
like a single game and then two smaller boxes. Like this was probably a single graphic. But they
probably had the same discussion. They're like, we have 2 more games, but 1 box.
But I want to get Chip and Dale and Circus crap. What is this?
I just want to know
Circus Charlie.
Who in China plays Snow Brothers? And Chip and Dale.
And that's the other thing too is this Snow Brothers graphic is it says press start. It says press start, so this is like the title screen I assume. But it's like the most generic graphic. Yeah, it doesn't have an 8-bit look to it, does it? I don't know what the hell it is.
Snow Brothers is a game. I remember it.
Yeah. You claim that Snow Brothers game, and I believe you. I don't remember it.
Is that the start screen of Snow Brothers?
Who's Nick and Tom? I guess they're the Snow Brothers.
I guess so.
Nick and Tom.
Let's see. Nick, Tom.
Yeah.
It is the laziest ass thing I've ever seen in the middle of a really well done
To me, it's Circus Charlie. That's the one that stands out.
For sure.
Well, the funny thing is they added Jip and Dale in the list of games, but then they didn't bother to add Snow Brothers or Circus Charlie.
Circus Charlie's there.
Oh, is it on there?
I want to talk about Circus Charlie some more.
I'm almost positive I saw it.
Now, to you guys,
there it is at the top.
Okay.
now look at the graphics of Circus Charlie. Does this not remind you of? Remember when you'd see those
That's
like
not a Nintendo game.
knockoff, not knockoff, but you see those cheap jewel case bins of computer games at Walmart or whatever, and they'd be like 99 cents. It looks like one of those games.
They added Jackal to it also.
Sorry, we're ignoring.
I'm trying to make a point. So you're like, oh, Jackal, that's a great
Wait a minute,
game.
I found another
Oh, I
one.
wish that was really in the sale.
Oh, and Ring King.
Yeah, Ring King's
Yeah.
Yeah, those are legitimate classics, really. I mean, Jackal could have been in the original.
They felt
It has enough
strongly
fans.
that Jackal and Ring King should have been included.
Yeah, they are
in the
NES
original
games,
30.
but they weren't on the classic.
Yes. But no, okay, so now that you've gotten Jackal out of your system, look at the graphics of Circus Charlie. It looks just like if you were at Kroger
It
or
looks
someplace.
like an old PC game.
It looks like an
Yeah.
old PC game where, remember, they just have it was just a straight up jewel case wrapped in plastic, and it'd be like in some bargain bin.
Like a floppy disk cover.
Yeah.
That's what that reminds
Yeah,
me
Something,
of.
does.
yeah. It looks like an old MS-DOS
those,
game.
those shareware games.
Yeah.
Yes, those shareware games. But it's squished right beside Chip and Dale, and like it's
Which is the
it blows
Japanese
my
version
mind.
of Chip and Dale.
It blows my mind.
There's Japanese text underneath there.
Right.
This is legitimately one of the funniest things I've seen in a while. Like I just can't
That's
get
crazy.
over the way that they did
It's worth the
that.
price of entry.
Yeah. So okay, so you got where did you pick that up from, Martin?
That was an eBay find.
Okay, so it's
So-
not an Amazon
and
find.
just to warn, well, it's probably the same one that is still on Amazon.
That's
I don't
true
know.
because you'll find eBay listings on Amazon basically.
Yeah.
Okay,
The
and
other
how
thing-
much was it?
I think they range from probably like 30 to at some point 60. I can't remember exactly what I paid for it,
Gotcha.
but it's probably towards the lower end. It took,
And it
took a while
looks
to
just
ship.
like the classic.
Yeah,
too.
I mean, they did a good job copying it, and actually they gave you a longer cable than
Look at that
Nintendo
shit.
did.
Yeah, man, Nintendo really gypped us with wire.
But-
Like, how expensive is wire?
And here's the thing: this does not work on the Nintendo version for whatever reason. This won't.
Yeah, that's
play,
the real one.
This won't.
That's the
this
real
won't
one, and
Play
this
on
is
my
the knockoff.
Nintendo legit version, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
So how old years
But
are
yeah.
I mean, they look very, very similar.
Oh yeah.
And,
they-
and you have to really, really get up close to see. I mean, because you can see that the plastic looks cheaper on the knockoff one, and also like the font on the 1 and the 2 for like the controller port is different, and the color of like the Nintendo logo colors
Yeah,
are a
it's
little different.
Yeah, a little bit
But-
different.
So there's subtle differences.
A little bit of rattling on the the pad there.
Yeah. Well, you said it's basically garbage too, right? Like it's
Oh,
not really
yeah.
worth buying.
Yeah, it came with. First of all, it came with the HDMI cable that didn't work. So immediately I thought this was broken. So I tried
Gotcha.
another cable, and then I kind of wished it was broken. It was horrible.
Oh,
it was
God.
just
Does it emulate the menu the same as the NES?
no. It's I can't
Is it
remember
just like
what it is.
like a list?
It's just a list.
Oh my God! Is it
It's
your
just a list.
famous little list of like 100 versions of the same game and all?
Yes,
This?
exactly.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah.
Gosh.
And I tried plugging it into the computer, said maybe I can flash it. No, it doesn't show up as anything.
There's no vibrant modding community
No,
like
it's
the
just
little Game Boy thing you brought last time.
Nope,
which was really cool. I like
yeah,
that.
yeah. No, this is just a NES on a chip. So it's just
Gutted.
hard-coded.
Pie
So
Yeah,
beware, people, if you're
Yeah.
on eBay searching around and you see like a $35 NES Classic and you're like, hot dog!
do
you
not
know?
be fooled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that they would at least have the, decency to say it's a knockoff in the description somewhere.
We would hope so.
Yeah.
Man,
Now, when
yeah,
I bought this, I knew it
that's
was a
low
knockoff.
if you try to pass it as the real
It's,
thing.
man, the
Yeah.
lowest of the low. And you give that to a kid and they turn it on. And the kid's friend has the real deal, and he's like, "What the hell is this piece of shit?" And like the kid's like, "It's my birthday present. Shut up!" Like, you got the Chinese knockoff. Your dad's Martin Reimer. Damn it, Dad!
You know what though? I might keep this around and give it to someone for Christmas.
Oh, it's like one of those
like a
gag gifts.
white elephant gift or something.
Yes.
Oh man, they
Hey, I got you an NES Classic,
so
buddy.
excited.
Oh,
and they're
yeah.
like,
They'll be stoked for like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Circus Charlie.
You know, it would be awesome, Nick, if they had the lumberjack game that we
Oh,
saw.
I would love that.
Instantly, I would want one of these. Oh my god.
Maybe I should take this back to Target. Hey, there's something wrong with
Oh
this.
my god, you bastard! You bastard! Because they would just throw it back on
Right.
the shelf. You're like,
Oh, can you imagine?
oh man. I
Somebody
love-
walking into Target like a clearance. Dude, guess what I found? Oh my god.
Man, Nintendo really put some shit out there, didn't they? Like, I expected a way better quality. That's great, Martin. Well, it's funny because
You
you
can
sent
have
me
fun with that.
You'd sent me. I will. I think we have our preview bumper, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd sent me a message, be like, "Should I bring anything?" And I was just like, "Whatever Chinese knockoff you decide to bring." And you're like, "You didn't say you weren't gonna."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, we got something." And Nick was like, "Did Martin say he had something on the way?" Because obviously these things take like 8 months to
Yeah.
ship over from China.
Yeah, it's on the boat.
It's
Yeah.
on the boat on its way. So that's great, man. Thanks for bringing it. I got a good laugh. If it cost you $35 and it sucked, it was worth it.
It
for the
sucked.
laugh. All right, so should we move on to number 8?
Sure. Yeah, number 8.
Number 8.
Super Smash Brothers Melee.
Oh yeah, this was
Yeah.
the game that I didn't think for a hot second there that was going to make the list, and people were just
You were sweating bullets.
yeah. I
to be
was
honest.
just a
Another one.
comment
Neither
after- like,
neither one of you were ranking, and I was like, "What is wrong with you?"
It's the game that everybody looks back the most fondly of, I think. Like, people will say, "Oh, Brawl's the best," or even the game that came out of Wii, like that's the best. But it's Melee that everybody plays competitively, and it's the one that's native to the GameCube controller, which people still don't want to give up, even in the new Smash Brothers games. And with Ultimate, it's gonna be back. You know, they got an adapter coming out for Switch, and that GameCube controller just keeps getting pulled along because it really is made for, you know, Smash Brothers. You got that big like attack button, and then all those like other little small ones.
Yeah, I mean, because it really uses like the 2 buttons,
Yeah.
like your little attack and your special attack.
Right.
And so there's your 2 main buttons.
Yeah, it's
and
not like
then
your traditional fighting game.
The C stick was like perfect for those little snap attacks. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Oh,
I
get
I
it.
don't know like what the technical term is, but
Yeah, me neither. Would never even pretend.
but yeah, it's almost like it was built for Smash.
Yeah. They really must have had that controller in mind when they were just building, because it came out on N64 and was a hit, but it was Melee that just shot it way up there.
Yeah.
And even though, I mean, there were only 22 million units supposed to be sold. I mean, all 22 million of those are, except for me, like maybe 22 or 21,999,000, like whatever. I didn't buy it, but everybody must have had this game. Because people hold it in such high regard. Nintendo fans are loyal and fierce. Nintendo fans are so loud, you would just assume that they sold 100 million copies, even though it was in reality more like 15. No, I have it right here. Smash Brothers Melee is the highest selling GameCube game, period.
Oh wow.
It was the highest. It sold 7 million. It's just over 7 million. Mario Kart Double Dash was second, and Super Mario Sunshine was third. Wind Waker wasn't a huge seller. It was, you know, as those Zelda games sometimes are.
Well, you talked about the Nintendo fans and how loud they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would make
There
you
was some
think that
controversy
Metroid
there.
They
and
were being
Zelda-
some whiny babies about it being a kid Link in a cartoony style.
Oh, that's right. He was in that one?
which
Is that where they introduced him?
yeah, that's Wind
Yeah.
Waker. Which, in my opinion, just went back to the roots. He was very young in the original Legend of Zelda, and I thought the cartoon style fit perfectly. But they were all, Ocarina of Time. Where you started out as a kid, but then you
And he
went to
had-
the future and you were the adult Link.
Yeah.
So they're all about adult, mature Link.
Well,
And he had kind of rudimentary polygon graphics too. Like I thought he looked young even when he was an adult Link.
Yeah.
Well, here's the problem, because if you remember, I think it was the E3 before that, they showed like a tech demo of GameCube.
yeah.
Got everybody's panties moist.
battling
what-
Ganon, and it was like this adult, like realistic looking.
And so
Link.
they felt like that's what they deserved.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
like, Nintendo was
Well,
like,
that's
whoops,
what
never
Nintendo
mind.
showed. And I think that's why Nintendo nowadays is like, yeah, we're not going to show anything because you guys get so upset about it.
Yeah.
You know? So,
Loyal, fiercely loyal, but also very vocal
yeah.
and loud.
Big
but
babies.
Back, yeah, I know. You entitled babies. But Melee really was a hit. It was a big seller, and it continues to this day to be a major franchise. And, Melee was, I guess, the best game. I don't know. What's your all's opinion of the best? Smash has never been a game I've
never really
Best
gotten into it,
Smash?
quite honestly.
you neither.
No.
I really want to get into the new one, and I say that every time. but
I've gotten them all, but
especially if the new one's going to have every character that ever came out.
my favorite is just whatever the current one
Okay.
is.
And that would be like my normal response too, because the graphics are going to be prettier. They refine the gameplay,
It
and they
looked
add
good
more
on Wii U.
characters,
I
like
mean,
new characters.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you get more excited about the new characters. Did Melee have a major third-party character that they brought along, or was that?
I want to say Melee's the one that had Solid Snake.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah,
And
I think that's right.
did it have Sonic yet? I'm not sure. Maybe Sonic. That might have been the next game though. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I'm pretty sure it had Solid Snake.
I'll believe you on that because Nintendo did have a pretty decent relationship with Konami, I guess, making those. There were some exclusive Metal Gear games, right? There was at least one exclusive.
There was one.
Yeah. But
Well,
they
that
got
Twin
the ports.
Snake. I
Twin
mean,
Snakes.
it's the first game, but that's exclusive.
Yeah, there's some exclusive features on here. But I think this was also released in Japan on maybe the computer or something.
Is that the
Some
game that had like
weird-
VR missions or something? Or
No, not
I
on
don't
the
even know what
GameCube.
that means either. VR missions.
It was just training modes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Metal
there was a
Gear Solid
Nintendo
with
version
the-
that had extra ones, I think.
No, that was on the PlayStation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. My bad. My mistake. I'm speaking out of turn. I don't know.
You don't know Metal Gear.
I don't
son?
know. I
You
do
don't
not.
know.
I do
Son,
not.
you don't know.
I've played an hour of all Metal Gear games combined. I just don't care about them. I'm a run and gun guy. I don't want to play stealth.
You do not like to sneak around.
No, I don't.
I was all about Tenchu.
I know. Yes, you were all about
yeah.
Tenchu, and even when you play like Breath of the Wild, you spend
you
hours
turned me
just
on
like.
to Tenchu. I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool.
There was a game that was shown at the E3 PlayStation. I swore I was like, is that a Tenchu? Like, are they bringing Tenchu back? It looked so Tenchu-like. I was like, oh my god, they're doing another Tenchu game. But it wasn't. It was something else. But
Don't know.
they were like sneaking around on roofs and stuff. But anyway, another game I can't speak to, guys. Is there any special fond memories of? Did you guys face off in Melee at all?
We
Might have.
played it. And
was
I
more your
remember
game
playing
than
with
me,
your
but-
friends though. Like you had a
Yeah.
friend that would play Yoshi, and he'd always try to eat you and poop you over the edge.
Bastard. That's a dick move. This game would have been perfect for the online, wouldn't have it? If they could have managed to get that to go over the broadband.
Yeah, they
yeah.
could have.
Would have been perfect. Oh well. Which one was the Smash game that had all like? There was one that had a mode where you could get so many characters on. It was a big deal. It might have been the Wii
Are you
version.
talking about the? Well, I know. As you mentioned that, I remember on the GameCube, the big deal was like the trophy mode where you could collect the trophies.
Well, they all had trophies.
Did they have that? I thought there was something special about the
But-
GameCube
Trophy seems
version.
pretty similar.
There's some kind of like single player kind of mode. I think that I forget what it was called.
Oh, were they like little stories, like little standalone adventure games? Kinda?
Not
remember.
really.
To kind of get you familiar with like tutorials, more or less, to familiarize yourself with the moves.
I don't remember.
Okay, fair enough. It's one of those games that I might pick up if they ever do get their act together and do Virtual Console, just to say I had it. All right, guys, we move on to the next one.
So what were we on 7?
I believe so. Yeah,
So number 7, Mario Kart Double Dash.
a controversial Mario Kart game.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I warmed up to it.
I liked because I'll tell you why I liked it. I liked it because you could like stock up on items.
Yeah.
Because you pick up an item with one guy and hit the button, so you swap seats.
Probably a lot
and
more
that guy
action there,
Still
'cause-
holds an item, and you
Yep.
can pick up an item with the other guy.
Yeah, this is another one of those games that I got a lot of gameplay out of the Dolphin emulator.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it holds up insanely well. Like it's really fun.
This is one of those games that it came out, and I think I might have been playing something else or another system.
I've got a lot of those.
So I never gave it really a chance.
Yeah.
And I own it now, but I've maybe played literally like 5 minutes. But
You know, I say stock up on items, but I guess that's not super accurate because you can hold one thing and then have like one thing in reserve anyway. But it's that you can flip around and say like, oh wait, I want to use the thing that this person's holding, and so you flip them around, and you can't swap in other games.
The gimmick of Mario Kart Double Dash was it was two. You had a person riding along in the back, and you could swap back and forth.
Like say one character picked up the spiny shell. So you can swap around and just hold on
and
to
have
that.
it.
Hold on to it.
And keep
was
picking
that
up other
safe
things.
from like the ghosts and things like that? Like it wouldn't take it, or I don't remember that.
I don't remember that. I don't know. I never have it to know.
True. I mean, unless you're playing online, which is something you can do now. Yeah. I never find myself so far back. I get that spiny shell.
I never.
Every now and then, like I'll get like a spiny shell, like in second or third place. I'm like, what the hell? Did the game break? Like I shouldn't have this. But yeah, Double Dash.
I think it was the first Mario game to have the babies, like Baby Mario.
I think you're right.
Luigi.
Yeah, I think you're right. Kind of brought them into the fold.
Mario Kart game.
Because that was an N64. Like I think Golf was the first time I remember seeing those babies. No. Well, it was Yoshi's Island, I guess, that brought the baby into the Nintendo universe. Right. But you could play them as characters in Mario Golf on Nintendo 64.
No, on the GameCube one, I think you could. I don't think you had the babies on the Nintendo 64.
I thought there were little versions of Mario's on the N64.
I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
All right, well, guys,
I just can't picture that polygonal.
Well, it was very. It looked and he had the big nose. I'm almost positive that you could play as the baby. You could play Baby Mario in N64 Golf.
I say you're wrong, but
all right. Who wants to research that while
put it in the comments?
Yeah, put it in the comments. This is the first disagreement we had here. All right. Well, you're probably right. I don't know why I'm arguing with you in this subject. 'Cause your knowledge of that stuff is way better than mine, and my memory is for crap.
I'm pretty sure they are in Toadstool Tour, though.
Yeah. I can imagine in the like the graphics in my head.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. That all the racers are available to you in Double Dash at that point in the the GameCube version. But there's a quality to that game. Like, you know how N64 and to a degree the Wii kind of had this sort of muddied look to it. It wasn't crisp.
Yeah.
I thought Double Dash looked very crisp. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It had a really good look to it. That was me this time.
There
it goes. I'm gonna take it down because it's backing up all my pictures and it's gonna do it 1,000,000 times. But yeah, I love the look.
I warned you.
I know you did. I told you how to do it. Silence it. I already forgot, Nick. That was like 2 weeks ago, and I haven't even practiced it. But yeah, I remember that I didn't buy it. I didn't own it, but I was I was lukewarm to it at first. It's not like it turned me off necessarily. It was just one of those things where by the time the GameCube came around, even though it was made to be also a 4-player machine, I really wasn't playing with people. So Double Dash is one of those games, just like Melee, where if I had been playing with a lot of people, I for sure would have been playing the crap out of that game.
Yeah.
But just due to timing and things, like I just didn't. It's probably the least played during its original release of all the Mario Kart games, honestly. But like I said, I found it in emulation. It's like, this is wonderful. I love this. I really enjoy playing this game. And in the Switch, they got that dynamic where you can rotate your weapons, so there's that familiarity too. Because I played Mario Kart 8 a bunch, so it feels similar to the Double Dash because you can, like, you're not swapping out a rider, but you do have that extra power up in reserve. Kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
You can swap them though on Switch.
Can't you swap?
Maybe
you just got it in reserve.
Yeah, I thought it was just a placeholder.
Yeah, you're right. I think you're right. Never mind.
Because I'm like, I don't know how to do it if you can.
yeah.
I was like, wow, is there any
things
feature?
wrong. Okay, sorry guys.
Yeah, I was seriously thinking like,
no,
maybe they added that for deluxe, and I don't know.
No, you're right. You're right. You couldn't swap it. I don't know why I was thinking that you could, but whatever. My point is just so stupid. It's not even bringing it up anymore. All right, Nick. What's our number 6?
Number 6, Pikmin.
Yeah, Pikmin. Right. So yeah, this is a new property. Nintendo. I like when Nintendo creates like a new property.
Yeah.
You know, like it seems like it's so rare when they do it. It's a big deal when they do it. In this iteration of current games, I'd guess the big property is ARMS.
It's the big attempt. I think
They're trying to push it. Yeah.
They tried, but
Wii U was for sure Splatoon. I mean,
I don't think it picked up like
Splatoon,
Pikmin.
right.
Splatoon was major big deal.
Yeah, Splatoon hit like Pikmin kind of became popular.
So, but for the GameCube era, it was like, Pikmin was and I guess Wii also is like the sports titles or whatever, but that's another story. Pikmin was a lot of fun. It kind of had so. You're you're like a space traveler,
Captain
basically, right?
Olimar?
Yeah.
And if you pull up these little guys from the ground, they kind of just become like your slaves.
Right.
They will just die for you.
Your army of death.
It's really kind of weird if you think about it, but they will just sacrifice and just not even care. They had that like Wookiee to Han Solo, pact or whatever. Like, I will lay my life down for you. It's a totally addictive, fun little puzzle game, and they made several like sequels. I never played any of the sequels.
Strategy puzzle, yeah.
I've never really played 2, but I love 3. 3's great.
That's the one on Wii U, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I haven't played the one that's on 3DS.
Oh, I didn't even...
Yeah, I haven't played. I think
Is
it's a
that more like a
side.
It's like a side
Yeah.
scroller.
Yeah. That's completely different.
It just looked weird.
It's got all the
you
like
can't do
familiar imagery of the Pikmin games, but yeah, it's like a side story.
Right.
Like
What's going on, Nintendo?
They're super cute. It has like a Lemmings feel to it, kind of for me. Yeah. It's very classic. And again, this is one of those games where I did own it. I bought it because I bought all into the hype. It's like, oh, this is a new Nintendo property. I'm gonna give it a try because they don't, like I said, it doesn't happen very often. So when they give you something new, you're like, I gotta try this out.
I love the world that like everything is so huge. Like it's like a bottle cap is like huge.
Yeah.
So you got like all these little
super
Pikmins
tiny.
that like surround it and pick it up and carry it away and whatever.
They're just so damn cute,
ants
man.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just so damn cute. I love the little Pikmin.
So you're just like this tiny guy like in this huge world.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Kind of like Gulliver's Travel, sort of.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I'm sorry, guys. I don't have a whole lot to say. I owned it, but I probably played it a total of like 5 hours.
Well, yeah, and I honestly didn't play the first one very much at all. I have played it a little, but I didn't really get into it. It wasn't until 3 that I really got into it, and I've played 3 like all the way through.
Yeah, I recognize the like quality of the game though. I really liked what they were going for. And if I just played more video games at the time, I for sure would have played it a bunch more.
Yeah.
That's the kind of game that it would benefit on a handheld. Like a true Pikmin game would be great.
Yeah.
I could see it on Switch.
It'd be great on Switch.
It'd be fantastic. Just port 3.
It'd be great
They're
on
doing that
Switch.
stuff anyway.
Nintendo.
Listen to us. A new Pikmin game would be great, especially in Nick's case, since one of the funny things about, not funny, haha, but interesting things about the Switch is so many people who passed on the Wii are getting all these ports, and they're just getting to enjoy all this back catalog of Nintendo titles. Pikmin 3 would be a great fit. I mean, they're doing all these other games. Why not? And I would play Pikmin 3.
I think one thing that helped out 3 that the first game didn't have also was that it was on Wii U and it had the touchscreen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It worked really well to
imagine.
tap to throw the Pikmin out
That was
rather
like
than like with a
unique
controller,
Oh man, I bet once you get used to doing that, it would be almost impossible to play it.
yeah.
Go back and play it the other way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That just it was we're getting into games now. At least I'd bought and played a bit of and enjoyed. Not that I didn't enjoy Rogue Squadron, but Pikmin, mad respect for Pikmin. And I'm glad to see they're still making games, and there's rumors abound of a new Pikmin game coming out for Switch. So I hope that happens because I think it'll be a lot of fun on a portable. All right, what's our number 5?
All right, number 5. You can go to sleep for a minute.
Well, I do not get the popularity of this game, but go ahead, guys.
Have you played it yet?
No.
Well, that's the problem.
At all, ever.
Never. Not once.
Number 5, Animal Crossing.
Oh, yes.
Another game that people clamor for. Yeah? I've said it before,
And
I'll say it
rightfully
again.
so.
There is a checklist for every Nintendo fan in their head. They at the top of the list. And eventually that game will get made and it'll get crossed off. That game would be like Metroid nowadays. Well, that people can go, it's happening. I can stop crying for it.
Well, I'm waiting
Animal
on an
Crossing
Animal
is
Crossing
that
for Switch.
game right now. If there was an on deck circle, to use a sports metaphor, like Animal Crossing would have been that game on deck. Now Metroid we know is getting made. People, every time a Direct comes along or E3, people are like, Animal Crossing or I'm going to kill myself. Like, I got to have Animal Crossing.
It's funny, too, because every game really is basically the same thing again.
Pretty much, yeah.
But
Talk to me about Animal Crossing. It came up once before with you guys were telling me that it was like the sort of the precursor to Virtual Console where you could collect the...
Yeah, because the whole point is like collecting all kinds of crap.
Pretty much. It's like real life, basically.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And, you go and you go in the little shop every day and you look for what's on sale and, oh, I don't have that thing. And you buy it just so you have it in the collection.
Yeah. And there's sets
You
of
don't even
things,
necessarily want it. You just, I don't have that one.
I don't have that. Now I do.
Yeah.
Well, the analog to this game would be The Sims, I guess. And when I saw the original, I was talking to you guys before the show we started recording that I'd never seen the ad when it came out, but I found it on YouTube and was watching it. I was like, they're really selling this like it's like a Sims game in a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
you could write letters and
you
had
decorate.
Just live in your life.
village, Yeah.
Yeah, you got your little house that you decorate however you want.
Yeah.
And could you okay, now was this a game that benefited from multiplayer? Like could you visit other people's houses?
Well,
Was there a memory card thing?
I've been trying to get to the part where it was the precursor to Virtual Console, but you keep asking questions.
I know. I'm dying to like understand why Animal Crossing. Okay, I'll go back to sleep. I'm curious. Talk about Animal Crossing, guys.
Yeah, so I was just talking about all the crap you had to buy.
Go
Well,
full
some
laundry.
of that crap would be like a little Nintendo console.
Yeah.
And so you could take this Nintendo console and you'd set it up in your little house or whatever. But if you took your character over to it and you hit like the action button or whatever, you could play whatever game it was.
So cool.
There was Super Mario Brothers, Legend of Zelda. There was like all these NES games that you could just sit there and play the NES game.
Did it fill the
Within
screen, or were you playing it
just-
like?
It just filled the screen.
Yeah.
It just Animal Crossing
Like an
went away
emulator.
and
Yeah.
Super Mario Brothers came up.
That's cool. The full game.
The full game. Yeah.
That's awesome. How many games were there? Do you remember?
I don't
5,
remember.
6, I don't know.
5 or 6.
There's-
Didn't we get gypped on the Donkey Kong though? It was like Donkey Kong math or something. I remember something.
No way it was
odd
Donkey
about
Kong
that.
math.
It was some weird thing.
No way.
It might have been on there.
Yeah.
I think there was Donkey Kong, but it might have had Donkey Kong Math also.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh my gosh! I figured they just redacted Donkey Kong math from their history.
I don't remember.
Put it in the comments.
There'll
I
be
don't remember exactly.
somewhere there'll be a list. I mean, I could probably, if somebody else was reading, what was next
Yeah.
or whatever, I could be looking it up. But
Yeah. Well, I can't
Sorry.
carry Animal Crossing, so I don't know. If you started looking it up, then we would just stop talking, and then people are like, "The show in."
we can put it like on Facebook or something.
Yeah,
we can find
maybe
that
Nick
list.
can find us the list and post it like, "Hey, by the way, here are the games."
Oh, okay. See what I knew it had some kind of connection. It has the Game Boy Advance connection.
Oh yeah, you could go to that
Travel
island.
to the new island. Yeah.
like where the lion was, and you could get like fruit and stuff on the island.
Oh, and there was also the e-cards. Remember the e-card reader?
Man, I love the e-cards.
Oh, well, that was like Virtual Console in a way
it
too,
was,
wasn't
Yeah.
it?
I thought
'Cause you could
e-cards
load
were
games on
amazing.
there. Yeah, that
because
was really awesome.
you
Oh,
could get
Super
like
Mario
that,
Advance 3 took advantage of those, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could get like that deck of cards and like some of there's Donkey Kong Jr. and some other games, and you could like slide them.
Yeah, there it is.
They had like the little
Oh,
barcode things,
it
and
had
you
the
could,
Game
yeah, it
&
had a little
Watch.
Game and Watch,
Game & Watch.
and you could slide those on the e-card reader and play like Donkey Kong
see
Jr. or
that.
whatever. That thing did not catch on, but I thought it was
It
great.
was really cool.
I loved
You
it.
just look at it and it looks so like a toy, really. I mean, but I mean, it was ahead of its time.
I've still got my e-cards.
That's amazing. I remember getting e-cards. I think, but no. Did they have something similar to e-cards with the 3DS?
They
You
had the AR cards that came
AR
with it.
cards. That's
Oh,
it.
yeah.
But
That's it.
that they never made it anymore. It was weird. It was just
Yeah,
like came with
I
it.
had it came with it, right? Yeah, and I had some, and I never ever used them.
Yeah, it was just that little gimmicky thing that
Yeah.
you just,
Nintendo gimmick? What? I think that's why I love Nintendo so much. Is they do not stick to the status quo. They are constantly trying to innovate.
But yeah, I mean, like the e-card in Super Mario Advance, the Super Mario 3 one.
Yeah.
I mean, it did some really cool things. Like you could get the the cape from Mario World in Super Mario 3.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It did some really fun things.
Yeah, you could technically not actually have everything that game had to offer unless you got all those e-cards.
Yeah, there were special boards that were only for the e-reader.
Yeah. Did they now for Virtual Console? Did they ever release a Virtual Console that had all that e-card content?
think so.
There was. I've played
On the
something.
Wii shop?
I've played something where you could play that Mario Advance with the e-reader games.
Okay.
The boards, like for Mario 3.
Yeah.
Did it come out on the Wii, like the original Wii shop? So I feel like something was tied to that somehow.
Yeah, I think it might be. Is it on the 3DS? Does it have Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario 3 on the 3DS?
As a Virtual Console game?
As a Virtual Console game?
It maybe.
You might be able to do it on that. I feel like, because I kind of feel like I'm playing it on my 3DS
Okay.
when I've done it.
Right. Possibly, because I feel like I have now that because I didn't have, as I'd said before, I barely had a DS. I got on that late. Well, no, actually, I got it in early because of, what was that game that everybody was all crazy about?
Advance Wars?
No. It was like Brain.
Oh, Brain Age.
Brain Age, thank you. Yeah, I
Apparently,
was always,
apparently you
For
didn't
the
use it.
DS. I got Brain Age.
No, I played it. I thought it was cool. It was like the Wii. Like I was searching for something to get me back interested in playing games again.
Man, I remember there was like Brain Age was like super popular and Cooking Mama. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Nintendogs and all that.
Yeah,
Oh,
Nintendogs.
Yeah, they tried everything. But anyways, I'm sorry to get off the topic, but yeah, the e-card reader stuff was neat.
Yeah.
It was really cool. But Animal Crossing, was this the first Animal Crossing, or was that one of those games?
This was the first.
It was the first?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I remember reading this, but I could have sworn that Animal Crossing was in development for the N64.
Oh yeah, it came out in Japan. You
In
talked to us
Japan.
about that, yeah.
Yep, maybe. I don't
And
know.
then...
No, you're right. That
like
is a
it came out in Japan only,
Yeah.
and the N64 was already downhill in the
Right.
US at that point. So they said, well, we'll remaster it and bring it out for the GameCube or something like that.
I don't know the
That's why
details
the
about whether or
graphics-
not it was a brand new game or if it was just remastered.
I
But
think
do
that's
know
why the graphics were so like last generation on the
polygonal looking
GameCube,
kinda,
because
yeah.
they look pretty bad.
I don't know. I didn't
Yeah.
feel like it was that
But
bad.
I mean, they look just like N64 graphics.
it
But,
looks, it's just got that Nintendo
yeah.
pizzazz to it, I guess. I don't know.
It did
It could have been
not
their
look
style,
like
too, I
Nintendo
don't know.
64 graphics.
I didn't say it
looks-
did. Why are you looking at me?
N64. Look at that. Look at Nook. See, you can see his ears are like 3
For
polygons.
those of you listening, they are looking at the back of the case of the GameCube right now, and Martin is still convinced that it's basically in 64 graphics.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe some of the assets were just recycled, but
Probably.
But the backgrounds and stuff, like pretty.
I mean, there's a lot of
colorful.
assets in that game.
Yeah.
That game's got a lot of assets.
A lot of ass. Oh God! All right, well, I can't bear to talk about Animal Crossing anymore. I'm sorry. I respect it for what it is, but people, like I said, people want it. They get, it came back in a way in the form of a mobile game. People for a time were all into that.
That was
For a
super
hot
boring.
minute. Yeah, it wasn't. It
Oh,
was
you guys,
not-
neither one
it
of
was
you
not
really.
the essence
Well, you
of
said
Animal Crossing.
Even
was really into
Even
it,
if
right?
you're in, yeah, Ruth loves it, but Ruth's also never
Maybe.
really played the full-blown games either. She watches me play them.
Gotcha.
This
She
is
does
the
do
first
that.
time she's actually played it.
Gotcha.
Because she always acts like, I don't know how the controllers work.
Oh my God, whiny. All right, so we're
many
moving on to
buttons.
Animal Crossing. Out of that, we're at number 4 now. What's
Right.
number 4?
Number 4, Resident Evil 4.
Oh, amazing game.
Which,
and exclusive
at the time,
for a while.
exclusive to Nintendo of
Yes.
all things.
That was huge.
Super violent game, exclusive to Nintendo. Was
A
like,
lot of people's
what?
favorite GameCube game, for sure. I've seen lists where
And-
this is number 1.
And it was like, remember, it was like on demo, like at Toys R Us, right? Just right there, chainsaws lopping off people's heads.
Nintendo.
Like right at Toys R Us, and it's like, what is going on?
It was for sure a double taking moment when you're seeing Nintendo to this day is still kind of got that family vibe going for
Yeah.
them. occasionally they'll have some game that mixes it up a bit and reminds us that, like, hey, we can do adult themes too.
Right.
Hey, we can do Mortal Kombat 2.
That's sweat, not blood. But yeah, so this was one of those games. It just did not feel at home on GameCube, but it worked.
It worked.
It worked
really well. Yeah,
really well.
Man, it's. I still say it's like one of the best Resident Evil games.
I think in a lot of people's opinions, it's the best.
Now, granted,
even better than the Wii version with the Wii.
well, that's what I was just gonna say
Okay, I
though.
was gonna
Is
say.
that now though the Wii version trumps this one for me just because of the control with.
Well, but
I mean,
it's the same
just
game,
amazing.
right?
But,
I mean,
but I'm saying that Resident Evil 4, not necessarily
which version
GameCube,
of Resident Evil 4?
you know,
Right.
version, but Resident Evil 4, I still think is like the best one.
Yeah.
I to be fair, I'm not that far into 7, so I can't really speak for it.
At least you're into it. I mean, I'm still. It's still got cellophane on, and I wanted to for last Halloween maybe do a video, and maybe I'll save it for this upcoming Halloween because I don't know if I'm going to get you to be able to dress up again with me and do that whole thing, or maybe we should. That was kind of fun. But yeah, Resident Evil 7 is amazing. People love that game. You know, from the demo that I played, it certainly felt like a very old school Resident Evil game. But 4 was kind of the beginnings of their more action lean to it.
Yeah.
A lot of people hated
was.
where it went with
It was the beginnings of
Yeah.
that.
5 and 6 are
Beginning
very
of the
action oriented,
end.
and a lot of people hate those. I mean, I can't say a lot of people hated it because they sold a shitload. And until 7 came out, I want to say 5 or 6 was like the highest selling Resident Evil game.
Well, I mean, part of the best thing about it, quite honestly, is that it chucked the old controls. So, I mean, the old tank controls, right?
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
analog
I mean,
movement, and
yeah.
you're over that over the shoulder. It
Over
felt
his
very
shoulder.
natural.
Oh, awesome.
And you know, with the gun, I mean, I can imagine that it would have been very natural to just keep progressing with that feel.
Yeah.
And I played through the first stage, and it was great. I mean, there was nothing like it out there. There's nothing like it out there, and for a while. So, but so you guys have both beaten the game, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. President's daughter. She's
what-
good.
What take me through some of the like most memorable parts of that game, because it seems like a lot of people have like favorite moments in that game versus like other games. I don't necessarily hear people talk about it nearly as much, like except for maybe the first game.
What was that Goliath battle? That big
Yeah,
thing?
that's-
'cause you're-
that was
very
pretty memorable.
memorable.
Yeah.
The
It's like
president's
the
daughter,
Abobo
you're
of
protecting her,
Resident
right?
Evil.
You had to
Yeah.
find her in the village.
Ashley.
Yeah.
And did this game have a lot of QuickTime events?
Yeah.
Because of
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, very, very
I mean, not a
sympathetic.
lot,
That was kinda
but
new
they
for
were
Resident
scattered
But that was
around.
new, right? That was
Yeah.
kind of a new thing at the time.
Yeah.
To get that cinematic feel that it had, you kind of had to do some QuickTime events, but just enough, not like
It'd be
overdone.
like all of a sudden, like a boulder's about ready to crash your way, and you just hit a button to dodge it or something like that.
So, what was the final boss? Since I never got that far, like what was the end
I don't
boss?
even remember.
How did the
It
outbreak
had
play
that
into it? 'Cause
Las Plagas thing. I remember
cult or
like
something?
it was that cult. I remember the mid boss. It was like that. Oh, the last boss was like that cult leader guy, and I mean he turns into
townspeople
a monster,
were
but-
enemies on a lot. It kind of reminds me of
Yeah.
The Walking Dead.
And I think that was one cool thing about it too. You go into the town and there was like kind of like I remember like a mob of
Yeah,
people.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
they
The first
weren't-
enemies you see really are just like townspeople.
But they weren't zombies.
And you
though.
weren't
They were
really-
like under their spell.
You weren't really safe like anywhere. Like
No.
you know, you'd run in a building and they'd follow you in the door or through the window, and if you'd go up to a roof and they'd put up a ladder and chase you up the
Oh,
roof.
the chainsaw guy.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
awesome.
That-
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that was-
That
Chainsaw
whole
guy.
first
Yeah.
level was great, where you're like in the house and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Just nonstop action, like you said. You never could relax. That's the impression that I got. And like I said,
Right.
I didn't play the whole game, but what I played, it was very intense, and you never could relax, like you said. And you know, I just love the look of the game, and it should have been my jam for sure. I mean, because it was much more action oriented. You weren't burdened necessarily with your conserving ammo as much in the previous games. I don't feel like.
I
Was
mean,
it the
you-
first game also
you
that
did
too, that
still have
You
to.
did, yeah.
Yeah.
well, all of them have that element to it, but I don't feel like it was as bad as some of the first games.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
as bad as the first one.
There
that's
was
for
more
sure.
ammo to have.
I'm trying to remember if the saves. You didn't still need the ink ribbon to save, did you?
I don't remember the
something
ink ribbons at
different
all in the
about it.
fourth game, but I didn't.
It
play
had.
the whole
Remember
game.
the guy that would sell you the stuff?
Oh yeah.
I've got some good stuff on sale. I forget what he said.
some of
Open up
that
his cloak.
fantastic localization acting or whatever that Resident Evil's famous for.
I'll buy it at a high price.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yep.
Let's see. Now, I think we're at the point now where we can start revealing where everybody's games were, because we all have these games. Like the next 4 games that we each have.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I guess the top 3 are pretty obvious. I
pretty
think.
obvious, yeah.
Yeah.
So Resident Evil 4, Martin had it the highest. You had it at number 3,
Right.
and Nick and I both had it at 4.
Yeah.
Perfectly suiting for 4. And it really moved up for me. Like it was low, and then I just remembered how I bumped it up because it was a great game. I really liked the way it felt. I just didn't give it enough. I rented it. I didn't own it.
Oh, really? See, I owned it. It was. I remember the hype behind it, and
It had humongous
it
hype.
was I think literally the last GameCube game I bought.
It's the only GameCube game that made like PlayStation owners jealous.
Yes, I remember that. He did not like that.
That fandom came back in a big way in that.
and it looks better than the PlayStation 2 version.
Yeah, and I might have touched upon that at the top of the show, but the GameCube really was on par with its contemporaries.
Yeah.
Probably for the last time in that generation.
Yeah.
Ever since then, they've always been like a bit behind.
Yeah.
But the GameCube really had pretty graphics.
Yeah. It was below Xbox, but it was definitely better than PlayStation 2, in my opinion.
A lot of the PlayStation 2 games had this kind of look to them. And,
Yeah.
You know,
They had a lot of jagged edges. Very alias.
Jaggies for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
the hardware couldn't anti-alias, so
it couldn't?
technically couldn't do it.
Oh, jeez, okay.
It was because it
Didn't
had
realize that.
DVD on it. They couldn't figure out at the time.
Anti-aliasing really didn't become like ubiquitous until like the next generation, I feel like.
Yeah, I think Xbox had it in their NVIDIA hardware, but
Well, too, and they had, like I said, it was a computer, so they would have
Right.
had, whatever graphics drivers that was
Right.
in PCs at the time.
yeah,
So they did have an advantage.
sure.
But yeah, the GameCube looked really good.
Yeah.
The only thing it had not going for it was you kind of were saddled with that GameCube controller. As comfortable as it was, just it wasn't good for a lot of games. And I feel like it was the beginning of
Fighting games.
first, yeah.
If you're not talking about Smash Brothers.
Sports games, fighting games, those two genres, even though fighting games weren't nearly as popular as...
There weren't really a whole lot of fighters available on...
Crap, can I go back and have another mention real
Yeah,
quick?
I think I know what you're going to say.
Soulcalibur 2.
Soulcalibur 2.
Yeah,
that
it was
a good
in my
one.
top 10, and then I just realized that it didn't make our 10. Yeah, Soulcalibur 2 is the only game that really kind of found its way.
Soulcalibur kind of utilized 4 buttons like most of those Namco fighting games did.
You could be good with that one button too, like really. But I loved that you could play as Link.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
and because they had that promotion where each console had their little special
Surprisingly,
character.
I never got that.
You didn't get you didn't get Soul Calibur 2?
No.
Yeah, I didn't get it either.
That's funny because
you'd
you're such a
think I would.
Hayachi fan in the PlayStation 2 and
Well, I think I did get it, but on PlayStation 2. But I never got it on GameCube.
Didn't
And you
get the
think
Link, huh?
you think I would have for Link, but I never.
Oh,
did.
that was just that was really rare for the time, seeing that kind of crossover. Like, wow, I can't believe Nintendo. It's still rare now. For example, when they had the Rabbids crossover with the Mario characters, like it felt pretty weird, and Nintendo just doesn't willy-nilly hand over their properties. So you got this Namco game that they had Link turns up in. It's
they're like,
Yeah.
sure, here you can have Link. What?
That's a moment of weakness, I guess. But now I don't want to get too far into Soul Calibur 2. It was a fun fighting game for what it was.
Sure.
One of the last big fighting games, and they were really on the decline. There weren't a lot of good ones. But back to Resident Evil 4. Or do we really have anything else to say about Resident Evil?
Well, you
4?
were kind of talking about where we ranked things.
Oh, yes, thank you. Yeah, so like, Nick and I had it, and I kind of went into this, like, I started digressing, but I kept moving it up because I recognized how important it was. I didn't own it, but what I did play was very fun, and it got Resident Evil kind of back on top again. I feel like they were kind of slipping a bit, and probably, as you know, Nick, I'm not a huge Resident Evil fan.
It definitely brought it back for me because, like, I loved 1, played through 2, loved 2, Didn't get into 3 at all.
Yeah.
I think
I didn't
Codename
like 3
Veronica might
either.
be the one I played the most
Did not get into 3 at all. Yeah, I forgot about Code Veronica.
on Dreamcast.
I
And
did.
that was on GameCube too.
I did
They
come
brought
back.
It
over,
did come
yeah.
out on Dream. It was a Dreamcast exclusive. I think,
Yeah,
for a
originally.
while.
I did come back to Code Veronica with the Dreamcast, but I never beat it. And the reason I never beat it is because I got stuck. There was like a boss like in an airplane or something. And
Oh shit! I remember that.
I ended up like I saved my game like
you
right
were
then.
short on supplies.
But yeah, I was very short on supplies. Like I had low health, low ammo, and I ended up getting stuck there. And so then that's
you would have
as far as
essentially
I
had to
ever got.
restart it.
Yeah. And so
That's
that frustrated me because otherwise I'm sure I would have played through and beat it.
Yeah.
But
Remember those days, man.
But so
you
then
didn't have
4
multiple
brought me
save
back.
points. You just kind of got screwed.
yeah,
I don't guess I really have anything else to say about Resident Evil 4. I mean, we can. It was for sure the big third-party game. You
Yeah.
know,
yeah.
by a mile.
Capcom was definitely
Capcom was still supporting Nintendo.
a big way, at least
Yeah.
Resident Evil.
And honestly, too, Capcom has since. They're not what they used to be. I'll just say that. They're not.
Yeah.
I feel like they're trying. Like
They,
every now and
It's
then
not
they'll
the
make
same,
a game.
It's
that
not
kinda
the
comes
same
back.
company, obviously.
There,
You know what I mean?
there's one time I would have said Capcom was my favorite company, and,
Mhm.
and I kind of, I mean, I still like them. I'm not like the rest of the internet that just hates them.
He's got a Mega
passion.
Man shirt on right now, by the way.
Yeah. but yeah, they've kind of
Konami,
declined
Capcom,
a bit.
They're just not what they used to
I
be.
still love them, but they've declined. I mean, you gotta admit it.
I still see that Capcom logo. I pause and look at what they got. You know,
Mhm.
I'm like, let's see what this is.
Yeah.
Nick, what's number 3?
Number 3, Super Mario Sunshine.
It's a me.
It's a me,
This is
Mario.
Again, another controversial Nintendo game.
Yeah,
It's
very
kind
controversial.
of this is a game a lot of people
This
don't
is
even want to
like-
consider a Mario game. Almost.
This is the start of the weird 3D Mario games.
The
That's
Galaxy
like, what is
stuff,
happening?
Yeah.
And then it turns out great. But yeah, I think this is like the first one because Mario 64 was the one before this, right?
correct.
Right.
Yeah. So this is definitely the first one that was just like,
There was a very long gap between
what is
64.
this? Like shooting water at stuff, and that's the point of the game is you clean paint.
It was funny because I remember there was that E3 the EGM with the E3 coverage, and on the cover they had like Mario and Link and all their big guns were coming out at the same time. It feels like, and you saw that backpack and you're like, what? Yeah, like you said,
Yeah.
like what's going on here? But like I was just saying a second ago, there was this huge gap between Mario 64, which was the first game that came out on the N64, and into the GameCube development, and there were all this talk of its demo like Mario 100 or 100 Mario or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that turned out to be a very, I guess, different. I don't think I've ever seen anything about that.
I don't think that.
There are
turned into anything. I
journalists
don't
who
know.
have seen behind closed doors what that was, but I don't think that ever got out anywhere. I've never seen a video or any kind of screenshots of what it was going to be.
Maybe that turned into Galaxy or something down
Maybe,
the line. I don't know.
maybe. And
And they kind of do aspects of that sort of in the 3D world. I think it was 3D world that I forget what you would pick up, cherries or something. You touch
Oh,
cherries
yeah,
and it
yeah.
would make like duplicates.
It's split
and-
off.
Yeah,
Sure.
and you'd have split off like about 5 of them at some parts or something.
And that was well done. But so yeah, here's Sunshine, and it's got this Jamaican kind of vibe to it, and they're flying out on the plane, and
yeah, it's like he's on vacation.
he's on vacation.
It's out of nowhere, isn't it? You know?
It is kind of out of nowhere.
But you mentioned him wearing the backpack because you see him wearing the backpack and you're just thinking like, well, I'm used to Mario getting like power ups like the raccoon tail and whatever.
Yeah.
So what's the backpack? What's going on?
I just remember too there being like this more extended period. There was a lot of tutorializing to kind of get you familiar with the backpack, I want to say. Whereas when you first picked up a Mario or a Super Mario World or even Mario 64, it was so intuitive. You just instantly started getting the hang of things. That one like kind of required a bit more playing around, I guess, to get familiar with this backpack.
Yeah.
And there was like some odd physics, like when you used it as like a jetpack.
A jetpack,
you
yeah.
know,
and I
you were
liked that.
trying
I
to
thought that
control-
was neat.
It was
you'd
cool,
fill up
yeah.
the water, and then you'd have that limited period of time when you could kind of jet around.
Yeah.
and for me, that was like the payoff of the backpack too. I mean,
But it was just strange for a Mario game,
it was.
especially after Mario 64.
I understand why
you know?
some people look at it and regard it kind of as the bastard Mario game. It has all the Nintendo silliness of a Mario game, and it's for sure a Mario game. You know, like there's so much of it. Now, is it Bowser Jr. that was introduced in this game?
He is.
So it's big because of that.
When he starts out, he's wearing that little bandit mask, you know, because he's like disguised himself as Mario. That was, and I mean, he's still in artwork and stuff. He still has that little bandit mask to this day.
Mm-hmm.
And I was gonna say here, but I know this is not true. I'm gonna correct myself right away. But I was gonna say this is the first Mario game that I never beat. But then I revealed in a previous podcast I never beat Mario 2. So which is weird. I know. I might be the only person in the world that didn't beat that game.
Two weird Mario games you haven't beaten.
Too weird. Yeah. I don't acknowledge them. No, I thought Mario 2 was fun. You know, I liked it. I really dug it. I didn't own it, so that's probably why I never beat it. I had access to it left and right. Every kid in the neighborhood had it. I just didn't own it.
Yeah. We rented it like all the time and beat it so many times renting it.
In fact, that Mario instruction book, that wasn't even mine. The one that like famously kind of like got us hooked together or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, like I borrowed that myself. So like it wasn't even really mine. I think I sort of possessed it because like whoever like let me borrow it never cared enough, I guess, about it to ever ask for. Like I probably owned it and lost it at some point, but it was mine kind of. But you know, I didn't own the game, so I didn't buy that out.
I was just like, can I borrow that so I could draw the artwork inside?
Oh, we've gone down that road of being nostalgic for those Nintendo instruction books before, but the Mario instruction books in particular were always fantastic.
Yeah,
the Zeldas and the Mario, they were just like little books, big thick manuals with lots of illustrations. So yeah, it was perfect to like want to get a hold of and then draw and copy off of it and do whatever. But Mario Sunshine, probably halfway through that game, I guess, and then I just really lost interest in it.
I think that's what happened to me. I was
You
kind of
never beat
halfway
it?
through. No, I don't think I ever beat that one.
I wanted so bad to like the game, and I was totally into it at first. I was, like, I've never been one to just like, that's not my Mario or that's not my Zelda.
The Islander guys were kind of weird.
Yeah.
With like they had like a little palm tree on their head or something.
Yeah, that was like their hair almost looked like a little palm, like you said, palm tree head.
They had like a big nose.
They definitely had big noses. There was an art style they were going for,
right?
And it was fine. The game felt big, I didn't feel like it. It felt more expansive than in the N64 Mario game.
Yeah.
So they had big ambitions for it.
Some
It's not
of
like
the
they didn't put a
boards-
lot of love into it.
Some of the boards were beautifully done. Had sunset,
Really nice.
Yeah, it
visuals,
looked great.
They did a
Yeah,
good
the art
job.
direction of the game was good. I really dig the look of the game. That's not the problem at all. I just kind of got bored with, relying on the water cannon. So
the
much.
mechanic got kind of tiring.
It just wasn't enough to keep me interested because, like you'd said, Nick, that part of the allure of the Mario games always was like the power-ups. Like, what kind of power-ups you going to get? And Super Mario World and Super Mario 3 spoiled us with all the different power-ups.
Yeah.
So suddenly you didn't have that freedom anymore. Like, you didn't have that randomness or the custom. I don't want to say customized.
And a lot of the 3D games, in my opinion, have had like just strange power-ups. When they do actually give you like something pops out of a block and it's an actual power-up, like the spring Mario and stuff like that.
Oh,
It's
yeah. I'm not a big fan of that either.
just not a fan.
Mario Kat's the best.
Mario
though.
Cat, though, yeah.
I thought they were back. They had me back with Mario
Yeah,
Kat.
that
That is
that
one of my all-time
definitely worked.
favorites. That
Yeah.
was a good one.
Oh, you really? I hated that one.
No way.
I thought it was the
Oh, it was
craziest
great. You could
thing.
climb up walls and
I'm
stuff.
like,
I like the way
dude,
he would like
Mario
trot
as a
around.
cat?
I thought it was very Mario,
my
and it worked
God.
very well.
It did. To me, it felt perfectly Mario. Like, it could have been in any of the old Mario games.
But the other, like,
I don't know.
propeller hat, I was like, no.
I didn't care for that either.
And the acorn, I didn't like the acorn in the new Super Mario.
Wasn't that just kind of
Wii.
like a Tanuki tail, kind of, sort of?
Sorta, but all you could do is glide. You couldn't even you couldn't.
I can jump further.
Yeah, that's all it was gliding.
Yeah, it's like the rabbit ears from Super Mario Land 2.
Yeah,
They just ran out of stuff.
didn't like
Weird.
Acorn, didn't like Propeller Hat, didn't like Spring. I can't remember what else there was. There was like an Ice Fire Flower. Now that was cool.
Oh, there was.
I forget which game it was. It's one of the 3D ones.
Okay.
It was a Galaxy. I think it was Galaxy 2.
Gotcha.
Had like an Ice Flower and a Fire Flower. That was pretty cool.
What was the deal with Yoshi in Super Mario Sunshine?
He, I forget what all.
Don't remember.
I can only remember he couldn't touch water. He would kind of dissolve if you touched water. I can't really remember what great point there was to riding him, though.
Gotcha.
He ate fruit. I mean, like he always eats fruit.
Yeah, Yoshi. I mean, he came back in Galaxy 2 and it worked, but
Yeah.
and he's fun to play with in Odyssey too, the little bit that you have him.
Yeah.
But Yoshi, ever since the Super Nintendo games, just has not. He's just cute. The Yoshi standalone games are fine, but in a Mario game, they just don't feel
It
important.
doesn't work out.
It's just like hey, remember when Yoshi was awesome?
Yeah, the
Right.
3D Mario
Callbacks.
games haven't really
Yeah.
utilized him as well.
Yeah, I guess it's just tricky. Okay. Any other big any other major memories or thoughts about Sunshine? It's one of the few games that, for the GameCube I owned.
Yeah.
I was gonna buy it. I was not gonna play that game.
It almost felt like it wasn't meant to be the only Mario game on GameCube. Because what you had said with the other demo that they'd shown,
Yeah.
it's almost like there was Mario 64. Okay, now Mario's off on vacation, and then he'll come back.
I do kind of feel like expecting another Mario game, and it never came.
Yeah.
Well, GameCube did have a shorter than usual lifespan. I mean,
True.
they were rushing to get out to the Wii because I guess Nintendo's funny. Like their R&D is legendary, and they have these grand ideas, and sometimes they're just way too ahead of the times. And so it's like they'll release the console. They'll have these grand ideas, and then the technology will become available to them, maybe cheaper. And they're like, okay, scrap this now. Here's the next thing, And then with there was the Wii was an example of that, and the Switch is like an example with that. Like the Switch is an amazing piece of hardware. It's just amazing. I love the way it's engineered and everything about it. It's just perfect. So who knows? Like if when the Switch starts dying down eventually, and whatever console comes after the Switch is probably going to be a short-lived console.
Yeah.
It just seems like that's their pattern,
Yeah.
Like, oh, we have this great idea for the next thing, and they'll get it out there, and they'll be like, oh, it's not quite time, and then that'll be that'll undersell, and then they'll rush out the next thing, and it'll be the revised, better version of whatever the previous console. Like N64 kind of was. Their insistence on keeping up with the cartridges was just such a.
That's
killer.
what killed them there.
Yeah,
And that's
so
how
that-
they lost, Square.
Yeah.
So.
And we talked about all this in like the N64 episode and everything.
Right.
But anyways, that's just the frustration of Nintendo. Like we're along for the ride, the highs and the lows, and they're really low lows and some really high highs. And then the GameCube for me is like in between. Like I liked it. I don't have bad memories of the GameCube necessarily, but I don't have a lot of great memories. Like that. There aren't tremendous highs with the GameCube. I just recognize it as a cute little console, and so there were some good games on it, and it was over as fast as it began, it seems like. And Resident Evil 4 kind of kept them going for a little bit longer, but there was like one Mario game, one Zelda game. Well, technically there were two, but as we talked about, they kind of held it back just so that they could release it for the new system. Like just like the Wii U, there was just like one this game, like it just never really got its chance to kind of feel it out.
Pre-Zelda games.
Yeah,
Four
yeah.
Swords, yeah.
True. Thank you. All right, so let's move on to number 2.
So number 2, Metroid Prime.
Metroid Prime was the shit.
Amazing.
It brought
Badass.
it was okay. So
it really, really worked bringing Metroid to 3D.
Oh, yeah. That could have gone really, really badly, but they did amazing.
I remember the N64 as like the genre or the era of trying to bring all of their properties into 3D. Most of them weren't very good, but
Superman 64.
Oh Jesus! Well, I was thinking like the Castlevania games,
Oh gosh, yeah.
Donkey Kong, and like they had to make everything into like a 3D game.
I've never played Donkey Kong 64.
So when Metroid got the treatment, Rare's first game for Nintendo, not rare, retro. Sorry. You saw those screenshots and you're like, this looks cool. And I was, as you guys know, I was not to that time a big Metroid fan. I don't know why, because I like science fiction, and the original Metro game is just close to as alien in the plot as it can get.
Yeah.
It's very alien-esque, and the Super Nintendo version was like everybody's favorite Metroidvania, like launched that whole genre of games that I now really enjoy, which of course led to the excellent Symphony of the Night and all that, just great games. So when Metroid Prime came out, Halo was big. So things were just starting to mature for console games. You could get a good first-person like shooter game, basically, which is kind of what it is. It's not like a first-person shooter game. It's a first-person adventure game. But there are, you have the cannon. You are shooting.
Yeah.
And so for the first time, you could see it mature in a good way. Like it was ready. It was finally time for like franchises to come forward in a 3D. Just through the visor and like every bit of it worked.
Oh man, the details were amazing.
Yeah.
Like when you'd shoot the gun and it would be like that flash from the muzzle, and you could see like the reflection of her face, in the visor.
That was really
wonderful.
Cool.
And even like when you did shoot too, and she would like put her hand on the gun, to shoot.
Yes, that's right. The worlds were amazing. They just felt so great. A lot of times I feel like these when they bring a game to a 3D or an open world, it feels really generic. It's just space, just big amounts of space for you to run around and jump around in. But these felt more like like Nintendo is real famous for having real well thought out platforming aspects. It didn't lose those well thought out, like everything had a purpose in its space. It didn't feel so big and just artificially large. Everything was great. Like, I love all the worlds and the environments. It felt like now that I've played more Metroid games, it feels like what a Metroid game should be in 3D. It's really amazing. The morph ball mechanic was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Very well done.
I was so impressed with that. I was like, how are they going to pull morph ball off in 3D? And they really nailed that. But I didn't beat it. I got really far into the game, didn't beat it. I know you, Nick, you'd mentioned that before we were talking, not in this episode, but we were talking about, there were 3 Prime games that came out on the GameCube.
Yeah.
And they were all 3 excellent games from critically. I remember reading reviews and like everyone was really highly rated. And then of course there was the Wii U, HD make or whatever, where they implemented the controls, made it even better.
Right.
But I never played. I bought 2 because I really dug 1. I was like, 2 is going to be even better. And it was great. But I got even less far into that one. And by the time the 3rd one came out, I never even played it.
Right.
So, But you were saying that you got frustrated at a point in Metroid 2.
Yeah, there was a spot where I remember, and maybe I was just mistaken, but I felt like I had to do this thing before I could progress any further. Mm-hmm. But you had to do like something like with the morph ball to like kind of like roll up and back and forth to get some momentum to get up to this ledge.
And it just wasn't working.
And it wasn't ever working out. And I couldn't do it. And I finally just got frustrated. And I didn't know where to go. Because like I say, I felt like that's what I had to do to progress further.
You were convinced that that's what you had to do.
Yeah. And so I ended up getting stuck
Screw it.
there.
If this is what I got to do to get going, I got other games to play. But it's funny too because we were in a time with the internet where you could have looked it up, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah,
but YouTube videos like those types of
GameFAQs.com.
Well, yeah, there's GameFAQs, but the games were getting bigger and bigger, and text walkthrough guides didn't necessarily translate real great.
Yeah.
To get past the part you were having difficulty with. Like nowadays, there's so many YouTubers that put together walkthrough guides. You could very easily go look at a video and go, okay, I'm at this point in the game. Scroll through. Okay, I haven't seen any of this. The game. Scroll back. Okay, I've done that in the game.
I'll be honest though, even like today with those things available, I probably wouldn't do that.
I've done it a few times. That game Inside we were talking about?
Yeah.
There was one part in Inside where I was dying a lot, and I was loving that game. I wanted to beat it. So I broke down and found a YouTuber who had beaten the game. So I was doing that. I was scrubbing through, like trying to find a spot. I was like, oh, that's what you got to do to get. It was like one of those levels where like those mer ladies or whatever under the water.
I haven't been that far yet.
Okay. it was really frustrating me. And then, but once I saw how to get past it, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
I got to the part where they were like, you get inside like this little building, and it's like the very first spot where there's like a lever, and you pull the lever, and it's like doing stuff. And you're, like looking around, and there are like these little chicks that are following you around.
Yeah,
because you open the door.
Yeah.
And
let them out of their cage
they got
or whatever.
Sucked up the thing and like shot.
Yeah.
And they got shot through the thing and knocked that box down. I was cracking up.
There are so many really funny, humorous parts in that. You got to keep playing that game. It's excellent. If you guys, I give that a definite recommend. Big 2 thumbs up for Inside.
Nice.
And you can get it as like it's a double pack, right? Inside and Limbo. Or is it just Switch? I mean,
Limbo is
Yeah, you can get
available,
both.
but I didn't get both though.
oh, okay. Well, you bought it digitally too, probably. Didn't
Yeah.
you? I want to say there's a physical copy out there that maybe has both Limbo and Inside.
Yeah, I only got
Yeah.
Inside.
I don't know if it's a physical copy for the Switch, but
I guess I'm wrong again. But yeah,
could be, but I don't have
Yeah, it's a phenomenal game. But yeah, back to Metroid Prime. Martin, did you beat it?
I don't know if I went all the way through it.
Oh, I've beat Prime.
Yeah.
You get to
What was the
Ridley?
final boss? Was it Ridley?
Ridley?
Ridley is definitely at the end. I can't remember if Ridley's the final boss.
Ridley, now a playable character in the new Smash Brothers game. Have you seen him though? He's not like huge like people thought he might be. He's big, but he's not gigantic.
Yeah, well, I mean, he can't really be that big.
I guess.
I mean,
Without breaking the game.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
He should be bigger.
Like
but
Sentinel big. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
a lot bigger.
because that's why people argue that he's technically he's supposed to be bigger, but I mean, come on,
I get it.
let's bend the rules a little bit.
Yeah. I get it.
Anyway,
Maybe it's a clone.
Yeah.
It's possible.
But boss fights in that game were great, man. It's just really awesome.
Oh,
some
yeah.
some of the best that I remember like early in that game, just like some really great cinematic boss fights. All right, so I don't want to scoot too fast past Metroid Prime, but it's once we get to the top of the list of most of these
all
countdowns,
of these
they're
games
just
has been so long.
it's like,
since
come
I've
on,
played
you
it.
know how great it is, everybody. And we're not surprising anybody with these top games that we've got on our list. It's awesome, and I look forward to Metroid Prime 4 when it comes out.
Yeah.
I'll be getting that sucker day one, and I'll be pouring. I'll try and beat it.
Oh, I'll definitely get it. I mean, I'm thinking now. I'm like, kind of feel bad because I have 2 and 3 on the Wii, collection, but I haven't actually played through those. So I mean, what story continuation should I?
Have they said
should I go and play those?
I'm not even
Does it
sure
make
it's going to be
sense?
called Metroid Prime 4 even too. Like that feels like a placeholder title. I wonder if it's going to be a reboot or if it's going to continue on.
I don't know. They showed the logo, didn't they?
Yeah, but that was like
didn't it say 4 in it?
It did.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
didn't it feel kind of like a placeholder just to let people know that a new Metroid game, Super Metroid game, was coming out?
I mean,
I think it probably
yes,
does
Prime, I mean,
continue
not
that
yes,
story,
but at
though,
the same time, I don't really feel like they would reveal that just for a completely different name. Than
Yeah, that's not a Nintendo move, I guess. They're
I think they probably did that to let us know that, hey...
although they pulled some crap with the Zelda game we talked about. They kind of gave us something totally different after the fact.
True.
It's weird that
Yeah,
we
but
didn't
I
get
don't
anything
feel
at
like-
E3.
I don't feel like that little tech demo that they showed was like, this is the next Zelda game. It was just using those characters.
Oh, I disagree. I feel like they were kind of letting us know that was going to be...
That was definitely leading the witness there.
don't-
I mean, that was...
I don't feel that.
I don't-
way. I always looked at that as a tech demo.
I don't know. I guess I
was
remember
just
it a little
Link
differently.
fighting Ganon. I mean, because it was the
Not
Ganon
just
from
Link fighting
Ocarina of
Ganon.
Time.
Yeah, but you don't know
They've-
what they plan on doing, though. I mean, we're still I mean, there's been a ton of Zelda games now, but...
And I think that's why they made sure it said Metroid 4, so at least we know it's going forward in the story arc.
Yeah, it would be weird
it's
for
not
them to
like
pull
we're
back,
not
I guess,
rebooting
now.
another Metroid.
I disagree because it was like it was redone version of Ocarina of Time, Link fighting Ganondorf. Of
Nick's stuck
Ocarina
on
of
that.
Time.
Like, we're-
it was a tech demo. That's all it was.
I just feel like
Of
they
the
were-
new system that was coming out. So you could...
that's
call it a assumption, but hey, that game would probably come out on that system.
There's like PlayStation would do tech demos of like a person's face to give you an idea of what
Outlandish things.
Yeah, like of what it's capable of doing.
Well,
like,
even
when you
Nintendo
show
had
Zelda,
done
like
one.
you kind of expect it to look like that.
Well, Nintendo and Sega, they put like the president's face, their CEO's face in the game and do some stupid thing. With
yeah,
the tech
that's
demo.
what they did. I mean, and to me that screams tech demo. You know, like this is just a person's face, and it's not a property that they would.
Because I think there was even a Metroid reel in that demo. So it had like Zelda, Metroid.
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean,
I don't remember
I'm
that
sure
either.
there
But
was,
yeah,
but I don't
and there was
remember.
like football and some other things. But
Oh, yeah.
I think that's why people were like,
the only
yes,
ones I
yes,
really-
yes, yeah.
The only ones I really
Yeah.
remember is like the 100 Marios and the Zelda fighting Ganondorf.
Yeah, that's definitely what people came away with for sure. They're talking about the most.
Here's the thing that would be interesting though is if somebody could actually take what was the tech demo video at the time and try to make those graphics in a GameCube, if it was even possible. I'd be curious.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, if
Resident-
anyone could do it,
Resident Evil
Nintendo
4
could. I
looked
mean,
good,
they
so-
always got the most out of their hardware.
Yeah.
They always seem to get just a little bit extra. I don't know how. They just always seem to get a little bit extra. Except for like Resident Evil 4, which seemed to get a little extra too. Nintendo was just always at the top. Always.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Was
like
it big?
it's almost like they're holding back some secrets.
Well,
From
they got
everybody
access
else.
to the machine
No,
level
they do. They
language,
do. Well, they
so
ought to
they
know.
do.
Yeah. They ought to
gotta
know
be
the hardware
faster.
inside and out. They developed for crying out loud.
So they do have the access. Yeah.
But they could have shared that with other people. Like, hey, you can get a little extra if you do this trick. But I guess not. That's not a very
Sony
Japanese
does
thing to
the
do. I
same
guess.
thing.
Do,
Like PlayStation 3, how difficult that was.
Well, it's weird too, but because Sony will invest in studios, so there's Sony, but then like also Naughty Dog is Sony because they own Sony, so it's a little different. There's studios, but they own. There's a stake in it for them. I don't know.
Yeah.
But with Metroid, I'm sure it probably is Metroid Prime 4, but I just still find it so strange that they didn't give us anything at E3 this year. That shocked me more than anything else.
They're saving it for the Nintendo Direct.
If now, all that being said, if we get to a point like next year, like we don't see anything else leading all the way up to E3, and then they give us something a little different, we won't even know if it's different because they haven't shown anything other than the title screen.
I admit I expected to see something at E3, but when it didn't come, it was just
it's
very
not
Nintendo
nearly ready
of
enough.
them.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
It's not a huge surprise,
And I love it. I hate it, but I also love it because when you find out a game is coming, it's soon.
Yeah.
You're not waiting 2 or 3 years off. Now they didn't do that with Breath of the Wild. They really led us along with that for a long time. They
Well, that
probably
was originally
regretted
because
that.
it was a Wii U title, I think.
Yes. I was like years before that game. Finally
But even
came out.
with Breath of the Wild, there were lulls. That
there were there were E3s where it was absent.
Yeah, again, it's very Nintendo where they'll announce something, and then they won't tell you anything about it.
It's true because I remember like they announced they'd shown something and there was like an absent period, and then there was another year where it was just like Miyamoto and another guy, and it's like translated, and he's kind of showing you some of the grass and like riding on the horse and things like that. Then like not a lot again.
And then there's nothing.
Yeah.
So maybe next E3 like. But it's also weird too because they had said that it was a 2018 game. I swear I thought I read somewhere.
I don't remember.
Well,
I think they're deleting hard drives.
yeah, maybe. All right, guys, let's move on to our number one. What is it going to be, Nick, as if people don't know?
Number 1, The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker.
Oh, yeah. A
Which-
phenomenal game.
In my
Love it.
opinion, well, not counting Breath of the Wild, I guess that's the best 3D one now, but I think that was my favorite 3D Zelda game.
Yeah, you stole it right. I mean, I was going to say the same thing. Up until Breath in the Wild, it was by far my favorite 3D Zelda game. The only one that I would really consider playing multiple times.
Which is very interesting since it's the second 3D Zelda game.
Third.
What was the second?
Majora's Mask.
Oh,
You keep acting like it didn't happen. I mean, not that it didn't happen.
It's
It
still
happened.
it's just a DLC of Ocarina of Time.
Before DLC was a thing, that's what it was.
It's the same engine.
Yeah, but people will disagree, and there
And
are those out there that will
out,
say
it came out like the next year.
I think it was a couple years later, but
It came out,
maybe not a full 2 years.
It came out quick.
It was kind of quick. It was kind of quick. But some people think that's like their favorite game. I don't agree with them at all. I mean, just from the look at it, it doesn't interest me all that much. Okay. Sorry, that's my phone, you guys. I'm getting dinged. But with Wind Waker, right off the bat, I was on board with the look of it. Cell shading was sort of becoming. It was a fad, and almost like very quickly, a thing that people hated almost immediately. It was kind of like this like trick that people would use to make the games look prettier, and in some cases it worked really well. Sometimes like
it was well
suited
for some things, but not others.
Yeah, and but with Wind Waker, it was just, oh my god, it fits so perfectly.
Yeah.
The blue skies are so blue, and like the worlds are just lush and pretty, and I didn't even mind sailing around. Like I know some people's gripe with that game is you spend a whole lot of time sailing around.
Yeah, that kind of bothered me a little bit.
It got old.
I mean, there was like too much sailing around.
Honestly, it's the reason I quit playing the game. I guess I feel like there was a point in the game where I realized I had to sail really far.
I think that's where the HD remake on the Wii U is better than the original, because then at least you can always kind of have that map down on that second screen.
Yeah.
And
that would be helpful.
Oh, I know.
Because
it was
because it was harder like in the original game to like just know where you're going to go, but and that led you to sailing more than maybe you needed to.
True.
Because with on like the Wii U, you could just kind of look down and know exactly where you want to go and just go straight there.
And I had the strategy guide, and it's probably the last strategy guide I ever bought for a game, but it's not going to be as good as what you said about the display on the screen.
Yeah,
because
the
the books
always have a map in front of you.
Yeah, conveniently right there. You don't have to go to a page and unfold stuff, and then because in the game you're always in relation to where you want to be, and then you got to figure it out and like manually on the paper map. Remember strategy guides? That was a big thing back in the day.
Yeah.
They still make them for everything now, but I don't
They were
understand why.
Every time you bought a game, they're always like, buy the strategy guide for 30% off.
Yeah. Well,
no thanks.
I remember it when I was the late years I was working at Babbage's. You had to push it.
And I'm like,
You didn't really have a choice.
Wait, is it official Nintendo or is it Prima or what? Prima? No.
But ironically, Prima is like probably the better strategy guides nowadays.
Prima became the one, but back then I was like, Prima, no.
It always kills me when I'm at like Walmart or someplace and they'll have that bin of old ass games with just tons of they couldn't even give them away probably. It's like, who wants a strategy guide for Grand Theft Auto 4? I mean, it's like, nobody's going to want that. Nobody's ever going to buy that. Just rip the cover off and
send it
away.
to China.
Somebody could be wiping their butts with that or do something useful. But they're still out there, amazingly. I don't understand it.
I don't know.
So that feels like a bygone era, but they're still out there proliferating. But Wind Waker, it didn't the graphical style left behind, like, okay, so you see the polygons, but it never felt like polygons to me. It always it looked hand drawn.
It had a nice artistic style.
Yeah, and when I
Very
look back
fluid.
when I look back at games like Ocarina of Time, it always feels really dated to me.
Yeah.
I look at even like the non-HD version of Wind Waker. It looks really good still.
Oh yeah.
Now that's a game that I want to go back to and beat because I didn't buy it for the Wii U. I need to because you can get it so cheap.
Yeah.
And I want to beat that game because I did love it so much. It's my number one, and I think it's the best game. I really do. A lot of these Zelda games end up number one on my lists. And I'm always kind of surprised at myself. Like,
I was surprised at you.
Yeah, I know. You were convinced it was going to be Metroid Prime, right?
Well,
or Madden 2005.
Not knowing at the time that you've never beaten any of the games on this list, I kind of assumed you'd beaten some at least.
No.
I first looked at it and I was like, you've got Zelda Wind Waker as number one? Have you even beat that? No. I'm like, well, how can you put it number one?
Yeah, but you don't have to beat a game. I mean, you know, at that time, I'm thinking back in my life.
You don't have to beat it, but it seems like a mark of like how much you've actually played it.
Yes, you don't want it to end. You keep playing until you beat it. I was working 2 jobs and going to school at that time. I mean, I was just too busy. Like, I didn't have a lot of time. And, you know, you have your social life on top of that. What you do have. I mean, it's not much, but, I mean, you have a little bit. So I just couldn't justify spending much time playing video games at all. But then, you know, then you graduate, you find that one good job, and now suddenly you've got more money and a lot more time. And if you're in my case now, you got like kids, one kid in particular who just loves video games, so you have that to share in common. So now I find myself playing games a lot more again. But during that GameCube era, and you know, but then you might be thinking to yourself, but you sure found a lot of time to play Halo. You're right. We played Halo every weekend for like 2 or 3 years straight. It's insane. So I could have been playing other games like the Wind Waker, I guess. But I didn't. I was just straight up Halo's butt. When Halo 2 came out and I fell out of love, I probably should have got my GameCube out and started playing these old games.
Well, then there was Sony with PlayStation, so I mean, there was a lot of
yeah, but I've never been the biggest PlayStation fan either. Like, there are certainly games on PlayStation that I like, but I mean, I was always a Nintendo guy first. I've always felt that way. Yeah. And Sega, I always liked Sega and Nintendo. But then when Sega went belly up after the Dreamcast, you know, I kind of went searching for like that Sega replacement, which became Xbox, I guess. They to me it feels like they filled that void. So I adopted, you know, Xbox and Halo, and then 360 came out, and that was a big deal for me.
You know, when Sega went away and then Xbox jumped in and kind of took their place, they did have similar feels, like racing, sports.
Yeah.
More of an attitude, more adult feel.
More of that. Like, it seems, you know, Xbox One doesn't have that feel. Xbox 360 kind of had a little bit of that, but then like mid-life cycle, it kind of shifted into something else.
I feel like Xbox's identity is not what it used to be.
I don't know what their identity is right now.
PlayStation and Xbox just feels the same now.
Yeah.
They're very similar.
They're doing very similar things. Yeah. I feel like Xbox Live was the only thing that was keeping their identity, you know, very distinctly Microsoft. But ever since PlayStation got their act together with their online stuff, with PlayStation Plus, I just really don't feel like there's any difference between them.
Really, yeah.
Nintendo still has that very distinct Nintendo feel, and thank God for that. But part of me really wishes that Google would get in the game. I want to know what they would do. Atari had that, you know, I don't even know what to think about that. They had that Kickstarter thing. Or whatever.
I don't know.
Is that new Atari games, or is it just a classic style?
It's a little bit of both.
I actually saw a video of that the other day, and it got me kind of wanting one. It's really very impressive looking.
I got the impression it was new takes on their classic games.
There will be some. Yeah, there's like a Tempest 4000 or something like that.
And, by all means, come back, Atari.
They're going to have like an online shop with new games, and it's going to be built in with like 200 or something, like of the 2600 games and whatnot. But and
probably some like 5200.
It looks great.
Interesting. You're the first person that I've talked to that's kind of been tempted to get one, I guess.
I mean, because the whole time I've been kind of thinking, like, what exactly is this? Until finally I watched the video.
I think the controller looks good.
Yeah,
it looks really sleek.
Very
and
cool
nice.
Update. Like, especially, I mean, there's like a normal controller, but even just the stick with the one button. I mean, it's like a very cool updated version of like the old Atari controller.
But yeah, I guess my point is, like, I would like to see, since Microsoft and PlayStation, Sony seem to just kind of be doing the same thing nowadays. There's a market, I think, for a newcomer to come along and challenge one of these other out. Who would it be?
Yeah, I'm kind of concerned about Google coming in because I feel like someone like a Nintendo or a Microsoft.
Well, that's
would
what people thought about
system.
Microsoft too. People were scared that Microsoft just might be able to, knock out a Nintendo the way Sega went out. But I don't know. I'm not so sure anymore.
I don't know.
I'd be very interested to see what Google would do. So or Atari, like let Atari. Nick people our age, we're still nostalgic a bit for Atari. Mm-hmm. We had our 10 favorite Atari games episode, and I mentioned it just kind of as a joke. But then we started talking about all the games, and I was like, damn, I really remember Atari fondly. Yeah. You know, I had some good times with Atari. It's blocks and graphic. Like, you know, I understand it's how it's inferior, but the brand Atari was so special back in the 70s and early 80s. There's still some juice there, I think. They keep hanging on with like the collections. They stick around. So, like, you know, a big comeback would be most welcome. Because when they went out with the Jaguar, that was sad.
Yeah, that was bad.
That was a really sad way for Atari to die.
Yeah.
Just on that Jaguar bed. So, anyway.
Okay.
But Wind Waker, again, I don't know what else to say about that. It's just a friggin'
awesome
game. Friggin', that's a new word.
Friggin'.
It's a friggin' game. I love it. I would. It's a game. If it were to somehow come out on Switch as an HD game, I would snatch it up in a heartbeat.
Get it on Wii U.
Portable. Everything's more interesting and intriguing as portable. I don't know what it is, but
man, you've got to beat it too. Final blow on Ganon. It's hardcore.
Yeah. Nice. Don't spoil it for me.
You'll just, if you ever do it, you'll just be like, damn.
Nice. But I always regretted of all the GameCube games, because, you know, like Mario, I was like, this doesn't feel like Mario, but it's Mario, so I'll play it. And Metroid Prime was super great. It got me loving Metroid, but Zelda was that through line. Like, it was, all those old games are excellent, and this game is excellent. And I was so psyched for that game and loved it so much. And, you know, I got frustrated with it and quit playing. Because, like I just mentioned, I didn't have a whole lot of time. So if I got frustrated with a part, and I know I got to spend a great amount of time sailing blindly around, I'm not going to do that. So it would be a much easier game for me to play nowadays.
And it utilized the Game Boy Advance, too. It had that Tingle Tuner.
Oh,
I
yeah,
forgot
that's
about
right.
Tingle.
Yeah. And that reminds me, on the Wii U version, of course, you can't use this feature anymore, where you could, like, write a letter in the Miiverse.
Yeah.
And you could, like, pull a bottle out of the ocean.
It's too bad that got turned off.
Yeah, I feel like they could have left that on in maybe another couple years.
Yeah.
But
too many
people
kids
love that
drawing penises and stuff, I guess.
What? Did it really?
I think it was part of it. There was.
I never saw that on my
I never
Wii
saw that either, for crying out loud.
It
really makes me sad.
penises over you.
I never saw it either. I'm just saying that it's because of.
You're looking at the original artist. Why does the pubes have like that fancy Nick Wright cursive? Like, sorry, go ahead.
He drew them, but he never submitted them. It doesn't count.
Nick is over here with his arms crossed. Like, will you guys get off of it, for crying out loud? You 12-year-olds.
Wii U porn, the underground alley.
Okay.
Well, why do y'all think it got turned off then?
I just
actually,
people
I
aren't
would love
using
to
it
know.
anymore. I never in my once did I think about people.
I mean, that was always my understanding, is that there was just too much.
Well, I think you're partially right on that, because I think at one time I read they had real people reviewing, like, a majority of, like, the posts. Like, there was maybe screened automatically.
Yeah, I just assumed it was really heavily screened.
But yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean,
like, if something did go up, it was immediately taken down.
Well, and they do that even now, because that stuff's on Splatoon. But because I've heard about
Damn
Switch,
kids.
it is?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I've heard about, like, you know, stuff gets snuck through and then they catch it right away and delete it or whatever.
Okay. It's always going to be those people, I guess.
But I mean, there was that same.
It's a penis.
There was that same kind of thing on the 3DS. I forget what it was called. It was like Flip Note.
Flip Note.
Yeah, that Flip Note thing.
Yeah.
I mean, and it got turned off too.
Send the letters to little kids.
Can't have anything nice, damn it. That makes me sad. I always kind of felt like Nintendo fans were sort of self-policing, you know? Like, like, okay, I'll do that crap on PlayStation, but I'm not going to bring it over here to Nintendo. Not at my mom's house. You know, like, I can't let people see me acting this way at Nintendo. Oh, well. All right, guys. Well, that pretty much wraps up our show for this week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you're unaware, we have a YouTube channel, and we have the show in video form. We're over on YouTube at youtube.com/BitGeek. And if you watch us primarily in the video and you didn't know we were available on podcasts, we're available out there everywhere in podcast form on iTunes and Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher. You can go out and find us there. If you wouldn't mind, just please subscribing. And one thing here I would like to emphasize that I haven't too much in the past is if you are subscribing in audio podcasts like on iTunes or Spotify or whatever, if you wouldn't mind, leave a review for us. Mm-hmm. Let us know what you think of the show. The more reviews you have, the algorithms it's easier for them to place you, and we can find a bigger audience. We can grow. I think right now we have like 1, maybe 2 reviews. We don't really have that many. So if you guys if you listen to the show and you like the show, please you take a minute and just go rate us on iTunes or Spotify or whatever, and it'll help us out. As far as social media goes, you can follow me on Twitter at Ron Avis. Nick's available at Nicholas J. Wright. Mm-hmm. Martin, I think you're just at Martin Reimer, right?
Yeah, at Martin Reimer.
Yeah. We have a Facebook page that I try to keep updated, letting people know if there's going to be a show this week or not. We try and have a show on Thursdays. That's kind of our day to release shows. But we have obligations. We're not going to get a show out every week, although we'd like to. We try. But if you go to the Facebook page, that's the BitGeeks on Facebook. I'll use that to let people know what's coming up, give you a hint of what the upcoming shows might be. Nick sometimes will go online and post like neat little pictures that you may get referenced for the video viewers that you can't benefit. Like if you're just listening, you can't really see what we're looking at.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah, Nick sometimes will go on there and post pictures. Like I hope that he'll go on there and maybe post those pictures of the Pac-Man games that he was kind of showing us. Yeah. So you can look for us there. So there's a lot of benefits to going over to the Facebook page and liking us there. Let's see. I think that's pretty much everything that I have as far as housekeeping goes. Thanks for watching, everybody. Martin, thanks for joining us again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun.
We've done Nintendo, and have we done a definitive Super Nintendo yet?
I don't think we've ranked them. We've done Super Nintendo shows, but not with like this ranking system, I don't think.
Yeah, we should maybe revisit and with the new format and get into some more.
We've kind of said like here's some of our favorites, I think.
Yeah, we've probably covered majority of those games that would be in the top 10, but not in the official way. And I like still doing the 10 things. It kind of gives us a little flexibility, but I also like doing these official rankings. I think it's fun, and having that third person with us like Martin allows us to do that. So thanks for joining us, man. That's all I have. Thanks for watching BitGeek, and we'll see you next week, hopefully. Bye.
See ya.